Have you ever said, I have so much to do? Now, we know that God is not the God of confusion or disorder, but many times we have a lot of disorder because of all the things that we have to do and all the things that are going on in here. We have so many ideas. We have so many things that we have to do that all of it can start to kind of swirl around in your head. And that can make you feel overwhelmed, confused, and let's admit that it can make you a little bit crazy as well. So today what I want to talk about in this video is that I'm going to be talking through a technique that will help you do at least 3 things. First of all, it's going to get that swirl out of your head. Then it's going to give you a way to really organize your thoughts and to prioritize the things that you actually can do and want to do and should do. And then it's going to actually help you be more creative. Join me. Has this brain swirl and overwhelm ever happened to you? I know it has for me. Do you wake up sometimes at night and you can't go back to sleep because your brain just won't shut down? It won't let you stop thinking about all the things. Well, I want to take you through a technique called a brain dump. Now, you may have done a brain dump before, and many people have lots of different techniques and ways that they do it. In fact, one of the things that I know is that different personalities like to do things in different ways. In my Calling Clarity program, we work through a personality profile called the Myers-Briggs, and you may have heard of the Myers-Briggs before, but it is a 4-letter kind of designation. And in the second letters, there is either an S or an N, which means that you're either a sensing person or an intuitive type person. Now, an S person, and you may be like this, is a person who likes to make lists. So you like to write down lists of things to do. An intuitive person or an N person is more like going and doing like a brain or a creative map. So what they do is they cluster things together, mind mapping, we call it. They put clusters together because one idea will lead to a different idea, will lead to a different idea. Neither one is right or wrong. It's just the way that you are created. And I realized that this happened a lot when I was in missionary training with my husband. They separated us into 2 groups to do an activity. Now, my husband and I are both N's on the Myers-Briggs, so we were in the same group together. And so what they did was they gave us a large piece of chart paper and different colored markers. And they split us into 2 groups. And there was probably about 6 or 8 of us in each group. And one went into one room, one and then into the other room. And they gave us one word. They gave us the word leaf. Now, do you know if you're an S or an N? Think about how would you start to brainstorm or think about the word leaf? Well, my group, all the N's, what we did was we started using all the different color markers, and I was kind of the designated writer. So they would give me a word and I would just put it anywhere on the page. And we went from, leaf and it being fall to Leif Erikson to leap of faith. We did all of these, we even changed the word from leaf to leap, right? So we had all these sparks of ideas. After about 10 or 15 minutes, they had us come back together. And when the S group had come in, their list looked very different. Their list was an actual list of all of the characteristics of an actual leaf or leaves. All the characteristics, all the colors, but everything was in black and white. There was no colored markers used, just one color, and they just had a list, and we had it all over the page. That's okay. What I like about the process that we're going to talk about is that this process can actually be used before you create a list, because this is what happens. The list itself is great, but when you're initially kind of brainstorming through it, especially if you're trying to organize your thoughts into what do I have to do first? What should I do first? How can I prioritize this? You don't always write down everything in order. And for me, I know I don't like anything to look too messy. And if you just have a list, then you're going to have to either number it or you're going to have to make an arrow to another place because this has to come before this, because you don't think in order all the time. And you can be better and more creative and get it all out of your head, that swirl, when you just have the permission and the wherewithal to just get it all out without having to worry about what order it needs to go in at the beginning. So this is a really great technique, this brain dump that I'm going to give you, as a way to really get it all out, and then you can organize it, because you don't want to rewrite your list. Once you have everything prioritized, then you make your list, and then you can have a place where you can check it off. So what is the way that I kind of give people to do a brain dump? Well, first of all, it is with sticky notes. Now, here are the sticky notes that I have right now, just a little gold ones. I have lots of different colors. And if you were to see my desk right here where I'm sitting, you would see I have a lot of sticky notes, because I'm always writing down, jotting down, making sure I get it out of my brain. Why? Because when we get it out of our brain, then we don't have the swirl. We don't have it to really go around our head anymore. So what do we do? So let me tell you the technique, and then we'll talk a little bit more about what it is. So you're overwhelmed. You're confused. Take your sticky notes. Write down every thought that you have. One thought on one sticky note. Now, I just had a person tell me that I don't want to waste my paper. I don't want to just put one thing on my sticky note. I like to use both sides. And they went on. And I said, they come in different sizes. So if you're that type of person who thinks I don't want to waste on one idea or one thought, one sticky note, get a smaller sticky note, okay? The whole idea is to first get everything out of your brain and to put it out where your eyes can see it, in front of you. Because what happens is you then are allowing your brain to relax, okay? It's like that thing where you're like, oh, I don't have to hold on to this anymore. And your brain can go, whew. Okay, so first, get everything out. Don't worry about the order. Don't worry about if they're random thoughts. Just put everything individually on different pieces of sticky notes and put them up on the wall, up on your whiteboard, wherever it is that you can stick things so you can see it and have it in front of you, right? After that, then what's the beauty of it, and the reason that we use sticky notes, is that you can start to move your sticky notes around into different categories. So it could be a category for a certain project. It can be a category of household responsibilities. It can be a category of, responsibilities for the kids, or whatever it is. You can categorize it, and it's up to you how you want to categorize it. And I love the fact that with the sticky notes, you can arrange it. You can organize it. You can say, oh, this activity needs to come before this activity, and you can actually move down the one and put that there. Or you can realize that you've got some gaps and you need to fill it in, so you take your sticky notes and you can actually fill in, oh, I forgot to think about this, or I need to put this in place before this happens. So you can add things as you're needed. And then the other thing that you can do when you're organizing these and categorizing them and putting them into order, you can also say, why am I thinking about this? I don't really need to think about this. And it can go on the back burner. It can go over on another, like, to do next month or in next quarter, or it can actually get thrown away into the trash, because it's really something that you don't need to have in front of you right now. And it's just being a distraction. I love what happens when you get it all out of your head, because once it's out there and that you can see it, as I said, your brain doesn't need to hold on to it anymore. It doesn't need to keep it captured in there. So the swirl's not happening. The overwhelm's not happening. And now your brain actually has a chance to refresh. And when it refreshes, it can start to look for new solutions. It can start to be more creative and get better ideas. Your brain is really the CFO, this chief financial officer of your body. And it actually takes the most energy for you to think and hold on to things and keep things in your head. And what it's doing all the time is it's trying to conserve your energy. So the more energy that you're putting into these thoughts, the more your brain is trying to take from other parts. So you get tired, you get fatigued, you get kind of feeling crazy, all of those things. So when you get it all out of your brain, and you get it in front of you where your eyes can deal with it, where you can look at it, you're actually helping your brain to refresh. So I love this. I love this for lots of different reasons. I use this for lots of different reasons. I know when I've had retreats, it's one of the very first activities that I have my clients do is to get everything out of their brain before we can even start to hit on to goal setting or to vision planning or what their next steps are going to be. We have to get it all out of our brain because there's just too many things to think about. I know when I go on a quiet retreat on my quarterly times when I'm doing strategy with God, it's one of the very first things that I do to get everything out of my brain and to really ask God, what is important? What should I prioritize? So this is the first thing you can use a brain dump for. You can use it to help prioritize all these different parts of your life, all these aspects of your life, because what it helps you do is it helps you to recognize what is important and really what is not important. You can also use this to at the start of a project or the beginning of a project when you're thinking about all the things and all the tasks that need to happen so that you can accomplish that goal or that project. This is another way where you could just think about that project and think about all the things that you have to do, and then you can organize it. Again, you can use this anytime that you feel overwhelmed, you feel confused, and you just need to make sense of things, right? When you're saying to yourself, I've got so many things to do, sit down and think through it, organize it. Use your sticky notes and really get it out in front of you. Now, one of my clients, Ashley, she says that she uses a brain dump almost daily. She says this, and I'm going to quote her. She says, I use brain dumps at least 1 to 3 times a day. It gives me a reality check. I have used sticky notes and they can be helpful, but sometimes I simply make a list and choose 3 things that I will focus on right now. My friend calls this a paper dump. So that's an important thing to remember, that you have to find your way to do this because we are all different. You need to make it your own. So let me ask you this, and you can put your answers down in the comments for me. Have you ever used a brain dump before? Did you call it something else? Tell me about your experience in the comments. Tell me what happened when you did a brain dump. How did you feel? What was that experience like for you? Let me know. Let's start a conversation. God has created you uniquely, and he has called you to have a business, the business that you have now, because of the way he's designed you. And when you work in your way, that's when you really show up in the best way. So the sticky note brain dump can really help you S's to get organized. Remember what I said? Even though you like lists, this is the place where you can really get it all out, see it all, and then make your list. I hope that makes sense to you. And us intuitives, us N's on the Myers-Briggs, we can tend to see things in clusters. So it's also a way for us to organize ourselves because we can make that 1, 2, 3 instead of saying, oh, let me do this, let me do this, let me do this, and we're kind of all over the place. It's a way for us to also organize ourselves because we can take all the clusters and then really create a way, a method to get every single task done without missing a step. So it works for both types of people. Make this technique your own because first it's going to get that swirl out of your head. It's going to give you a way to really organize your thoughts and to be able to prioritize what you need to do. And then it is going to allow your brain to relax, to be more creative so that you can find solutions because that's what it's going to open your mind up for. Now, is clarity something that you need every day? Are you looking for accountability, inspiration, a way to get more done in your God-centered business? Well, I want to invite you to have a clarity call with me. Let's see if we can get that swirl of all those things that are happening in your head really into a focus and into a direction, because God wants you to have a simplified and prosperous business that serves him. So click on the link down in the description and make your appointment today. This is DeneenTB. Make sure that you like this video, comment, answer my question about your experience with a brain dump. Make sure to subscribe, ring the bell, do all those things. Have a great rest of your day. And as always, be filled to overflowing.